Everybody has a different opinion. There are more popular ones and less popular ones, but there are certain ones that are so insufferable, that are so annoying, that are so just dumb, really, have just no business commenting on anything to do with Pokemon because they just don't understand simple life. They just don't have simple life skills. And that one, the person that's most insufferable, the most insufferable Poketuber is Strawberry Pokemon, also known as Kira. I cannot stand this girl. I can't stand her. I don't know why she gets on my nerves. Maybe that's her whole thing, is just getting on people's nerves. Maybe that's her whole shtick, but it does. That's what it does for me. And I try not to watch her videos because it really does make me angry. But every once in a while, I'll pick up on one. And I picked up on this one where she attacks Rudy from Alpha Investments on some of his takes and tries to pick apart his takes. Rudy is an infinitely smarter person than Kira and a grown-up, whereas Kira is a child and she doesn't understand simple economics and simple business. Now, you can say bad things about Rudy and Pokemon investing and Pokemon investors, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. I got no problem with that. I got a big pile of Pokemon cards right here, which is not really a big pile. This is a very small amount. It's just a personal collection. What Rudy from Alpha Investments does is a very, very large scale. He's probably one of the single largest Magic, maybe even Pokemon collectors of sealed product, maybe in the world. So, he does have some cred. He's been doing it for a very long time. He is by no means the number one authority on it, and he's wrong a lot of the time, and he's the first one to admit that he's wrong. But at the end of the day, there is a historical record of investing in trading card games, and you can really track that, and you can use that information to make good decisions. And that's really what it's all about. Now, Kira is insufferable, and she, in this video, talked about 3 different things that Rudy brought up, and she tries to pick apart these 3 different things. So I'm going to play what she played on her channel from Rudy. Then I'm going to go in to talk about her response, and then I'm going to really just pick apart her responses because she contradicts herself so many times in this video that it's quite embarrassing for her. So let's get into that right now.
They are intentionally not making booster boxes. There is no other way around that conversation. They are intentionally not doing it. It's been like 10 sets through Scarlet Violet, ME1, ME2, ME3. Hell, I don't even have the rest of my ME3. And I got to do patron sale for ME4 next week. I think I have ME2.5 Ascended Barney. What am I, booster bundle? Something fucking supposed to be. Like, it's intentional. I don't know if they've cracked the Da Vinci Code and they realize, well, shit, if we just leave it like this, like, the market doesn't have the ability to cool off because we just leave them we just fucking hose them.
I just want to kind of summarize what he's trying to say. And then you guys can hear her ridiculous response. And then, I'll see if there's anything left to say after that, because it's going to be pretty self-explanatory. What Rudy's saying is they're not printing booster boxes. They give you an initial drop of booster boxes, and there's no more booster boxes. There's no reprints. There's no more slow trickle of booster boxes. And everybody's always waiting for booster box reprints, and they never happen. They've also started doing this waved release. They'll release a wave of Pokemon product on a new release, and then maybe a few weeks or a month later, they'll release a second wave. Well, that hasn't been going very well because sometimes they just don't release the second wave, which is just, where's all that product going? Are they not printing it? But it's not coming. So they'll release a half the size wave of product, and then a few weeks later, the other half is coming. It's the same amount of product that they would normally release, but it's just split into 2. And then after that, there's no more. And especially booster boxes, they are not printing anymore. And that has been going on now for 10 sets. I mean, people were talking about Surging Sparks booster box reprints. Destin Rivals came out at like $300 a booster box on release. Everyone's like, oh no, I'm not buying that now because there's going to be reprints. They're going to reprint it. Nothing. There has not been a single Destin Rivals booster box reprint. Nothing. Now those booster boxes are like $650. So there's no reprints coming. They used to do reprints, but they're not doing it now. And it's clearly a decision the Pokemon Company has made not to print booster boxes. Now, Kira talks about this in a second, and I agree with her that it's more profitable for them not to print booster boxes because collection boxes and mini tins and these kinds of other products that are bundled together with other things, those are more profitable because they can sell it at a higher price point and they have to put less cards in the box. So that's what Pokemon Company has decided to do. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is a concerted decision that Pokemon has made, and that's what Rudy is saying. They've decided to do this. And if they don't print more booster boxes, i.e. dump more packs onto the market in a quick way and a cheap, affordable way, it will continue to keep the markets expensive, and it'll continue to keep the prices elevated of the products. And as long as the prices are elevated, then that's great for Pokemon because, they sell out right away. So let's get into what Kira says, and then we'll see how that plays into all of this.
This circulates quite a bit online, and this is just simply a dumb way to think. But a lot of these dudes genuinely believe that Pokemon is intentionally limiting the production of their products. Pokemon has a lifetime revenue of about $115 billion. Franchise generates about $10 to $12 billion annually. They are the single largest IP in the world and the highest grossing media franchise of all time. The Pokemon Company couldn't give two shits about your fairy tale cardboard investments. They do not care about you using their products as investments because the truth is they have no reason to care about that.
Pokemon Company, of course, doesn't care about what anybody does. All they care about is the bottom line. It is a business. Every business, doesn't matter what it is, if it's Pokemon or if it's a cereal company or if it's a clothing company or Starbucks, doesn't care about anybody except their bottom line. That's literally what businesses do. They don't care about Pokemon investors. They also don't care about Pokemon collectors. They also don't care about the TCG players. Okay, what they care about is the bottom line and making money. And what makes them money is if their product continues to be popular. So it is in their best interest to release products and to sell products in a way that continues to keep their product sought after and popular.
The Pokemon Company receives their cash as soon as they sell all of their products to wholesale distributors because the distributors, they pay in advance to secure their allocation. So the Pokemon Company has long made their money before you go into the store and buy a booster pack. Artificial scarcity does nothing for them financially. It does not help them.
Scarcity is a big part of that. If the product that they're printing at capacity is scarce, then they need to keep doing what they're doing to keep it scarce, to keep it getting sold right away. And when it comes to distributors and Pokemon getting paid right away from distributors, sure, I don't know what the payment terms are from the distributor to Pokemon Company. If they get paid in advance, that's really interesting that she has that kind of insight. But yeah, it's true. The Pokemon Company does get their money from the distributors who distribute their product. But if the retailers can't sell the product, then they don't buy it from the distributors. And if the distributors can't sell the product to retailers, then they don't buy product from the Pokemon Company because everybody's in it to make money. And if the product that they're selling isn't making them any money, they don't buy the product. So if Pokemon Company gets their money from the distributors as soon as they sell to the distributors, if they don't sell to the distributors, they don't make money. She's completely forgetting about that whole part. Yes, that's correct. They get their money from distribution. But if distribution can't sell a product that's not sought after, then they don't make money. And if they were dumping booster boxes like nobody's business and the amount of packs that hit the market increased significantly and it was way more available for people, then guess what? We would be back to 2-3 years ago where the product's sitting on the shelf and no one's able to sell it. What do you think happened before all this craziness and products sat on the shelf? When products sat on the shelf, do you think retailers were begging them to send them more 151 SPCs? No, they weren't because they couldn't sell them. They were on the shelf. So the restocks were a lot less. And guess what was happening? The distribution was getting a backlog of product in their warehouse. And they were telling Pokemon, whoa, slow down. We can't take the product. So that's number one. Okay. So it is in Pokemon's best interest. They don't care about investors. They don't care about anybody. They care about doing what they need to do to keep their product in the highest possible demand as possible. And that's what they're doing. And also maximizing profit. So if they figured out that they can dump any kind of product on the market right now and it will sell. So why would they dump booster boxes, which is their lowest margin product because it's the largest number of packs in the cheapest product per pack? Why would they sell that product when they can sell other products like collection boxes and mini tins and different stuff like that, that will give them more profit. Or even booster bundles, because there's only 6 packs in there. So they can sell a lot more booster bundles. 6 booster bundles to equal 1 booster box. So that's 6 SKUs that they can sell versus 1. It's going to make them more money. So that's number 1. Okay, so let's go into her next point about this topic, because this one is mind-blowing, and there's a news article out recently that completely debunks what she's saying.
Another reason that the idea that the Pokemon Company is purposefully restricting supply is goofy is because Pokemon is currently printing more cards than they literally ever have before. There are reports that the Pokemon Company actually increased their production supply regarding Pokemon cards from 1 to 2 billion cards annually to over 10 billion cards annually.
So this is a really easy debunk right here, because yes, Pokemon Company about 4 or 5 years ago started printing a lot more cards than they did in the past. In fact, in the last 4 years, they've printed more cards than they have in the entire history of Pokemon prior to that. However, just a week ago, Pokemon Company released their production numbers for this year, and I have them for you. So let's take a quick look at that. Here they are. Pokemon TCG printed 10 billion cards in 2025 as overwhelming demand outpaced production capacity. Let's go down to the list. Here we go. So they printed 10 billion. She was correct about that. But how much did they print last year? 10.2 billion. That was more. And how much did they print the year before that? 11.9 billion. Oh my goodness. So they're printing less and less Pokemon cards? Interesting. The demand has gone up for sure in the last 2 years, and they printed less and less cards 2 years running. Isn't that interesting? So her theory that Pokemon is printing more and more cards every year is incorrect. They're printing less cards every year, and demand is skyrocketing. So that's very, very important for you guys to understand, because if Pokemon Company is printing less cards and they're not printing booster boxes, but they need to satisfy the demand of the increased amount of people in this hobby, they have to make products with packs in it, and they have to have more of those products to satisfy the demand, which is why they're doing less booster boxes. See, the numbers all add up here. Less number of packs being printed, more products that need to be sold. Therefore, they need to put less packs in the products. Booster boxes have the most packs. Therefore, they don't sell booster boxes. It is intentional. They are not trying to create scarcity. They're trying to meet the demand for people that want Pokemon products. And that's what they're doing. You know, there's so many collectors and players and kids that want to get Pokemon products that they have to create more products to meet those demands. So they are intentionally, purposefully not printing booster boxes. Rudy is 100% correct. The numbers back it up based on these print numbers that we just looked at. And logically, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for them to print more booster boxes. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they started printing less and less booster boxes as the years go on. I mean, it's been 10 sets now that we haven't seen any increased amount of booster boxes. So sorry to burst her bubble, but unfortunately, that isn't going to change anytime soon. So let's see if she has anything else to say.
Pokemon historically does reprint heavily. And although some people are lying to you guys about, when sets will reprint or if sets will reprint, you know what doesn't lie? History. So let's talk examples that have actually happened. First up, we have Roaring Skies. Roaring Skies boxes exploded in price when it came out. Everybody wanted this product. Then Pokemon hit the set with a major reprint and the price crashed insanely hard.
Roaring Skies. Booster box. Currently worth $4,275. Boy, oh boy, if you would have bought a Roaring Skies booster box when it first came out, before they reprinted it and the price crashed, and you kept your hands on those products, boy, would you be doing well. MSRP $160. Now it's worth $4,275. That is Roaring Skies worth $4,500. And here she is telling you that you should be worried about reprints. Investor bros, proof is in the pudding.
Ultra Prism. Ultra Prism became extremely expensive at a certain point. Everybody believed the print run was limited. People genuinely believed that this set would never receive a reprint. And then boom, reprint hits the market, prices drop substantially.
Ultra Prism. Currently booster boxes are $1,577. Not bad. Not bad, I think. What do you think? Would you have bought one of those on release maybe, you would have crashed when they did the reprint, and now it's worth 10x. Interesting, Kira. All right, so she actually goes on to do a little addendum to her video, just by voice, to tell us about this whole thing that I just said about booster boxes not being economical. So she completely contradicts herself in the next section of this video. And I'm not going to play that for you guys because I'm going to save you guys that headache. I'm trying not to play you guys too much of her stuff, just trying to clip the important parts because she does ramble a lot. So we're going to go on to the next point from Rudy that she's trying to pick apart. So let's do that next.
Let me be honest with you guys. This channel was built on me just being blunt and giving you an honest opinion. $10 booster packs is normal. People thinking Pokemon packs should be $3, $4 is not normal. They should have never been $2 a booster pack. Why the fuck is a $10 booster pack of Pokemon in the hottest market of all time, releasing phenomenal products in an economy that supports this kind of thing, and inflation and money printer go burr? Why is $10 booster packs in Pokemon this big fucking deal?
So this idea of $10 booster packs isn't actually that crazy. You think about everything in the economy that's gone up in price. Your groceries, your gas. You go to Starbucks and you spend $7 on a coffee. It didn't used to be that expensive, but the prices went up and we all accepted it. And we all still do all the same things that we used to do and we don't complain about it that much. So how come and why is it that when we say Pokemon packs that were $2, $3, $4 in the past are now going to be $8, $9, $10, that is so hard to swallow? I don't think that's a hard pill to swallow at all. I think that's where we are as an economy. And I think that people need to get used to this product costing more. Eventually, the MSRP is going to go up on this product. I foresee that in the next 1 to 2 years, Pokemon is going to increase the MSRP of this product significantly. It's going to go to like $6, $7, maybe more per pack MSRP. Because if they can sell out, they're going to try and push that limit of how much they can sell it for. So they're going to sell it more to distributors at a higher price. And then that price is going to get passed down to the consumer. And that's how it works. Right now, that price that's getting passed down to the consumer is because of scalpers. Scalpers are the added layer. But eventually, Pokemon Company distribution, they're going to say, you know what, we're going to take that. GameStop's already doing it. They're saying, well, we're not going to let scalpers make that money. We're going to make that money. So you don't see people going to GameStop, buying the product and then scalping it because you can't do it. So GameStop's making that money. Eventually, this is going to trickle all the way up to Pokemon, and then Kira's not going to have an argument. The price sorts itself out. This is a free market economy. Products get sold for what they're worth, for what people are willing to pay. And people are currently willing to pay $10 a pack. And it doesn't matter who it is. Kids are willing to pay. Parents are willing to pay. I went to GameStop and I asked them, do you even sell your product out? You're selling it higher than market. Oh yeah, we absolutely sell our product, the guy told me. Why? Because we get parents coming in here who don't know where to buy Pokemon cards. They trust us. And so they're willing to pay the extra cost to buy their kids the stuff that they want. That is the truth. Places like GameStop and other companies are going to catch on and the price is going to be higher. So $10 a pack in this economy, not crazy. It's what it is. It's the market price and the market dictates.
I've heard this take from Nostalgianomics as well. I think this is just an absolute shit take. Booster packs shouldn't be more expensive. They don't need to be more expensive. Most retail stores are still selling them for between $4 and $6 a pack. So I'm not sure where this jump to Pokemon cards should be $10 a pack came from. I guess because that's what they're selling for on the secondary market.
Show me a retail store that's selling Pokemon cards for $4 a pack, and I'll show you a flying pig. It's just not happening. Even the retail stores are marking it up now. I mean, there's Best Buy maybe that's left that's still selling product at true MSRP. Target, Walmart, all marking up the product. You're looking at $5, $6 a pack at either one of those stores, depending on the set. And it is what it is.
And what's so funny to me is the people who say this shit, like the Rudys and the Alexes that claim that booster packs should be $10 a pack. That's great for the hobby. These dudes don't pay $10 per pack for any of the packs that they have. They get them from distributors. They get a huge discount, some sort of wholesale discount. But after they have 500 boxes and thousands of sealed packs that they got for less than market, now it's a good thing that packs are $10 for you.
And, at the end of the day, she's jealous. Clearly, you can hear in her voice, she's got some jealousy issues with Alex and Rudy because they have built businesses for themselves. where they are able to sell large quantities of Pokemon, and they're able to leverage their ability to sell product in large quantities to get a cheaper price on the product. You know what they're not doing, Rudy and Alex? They're not opening Pokemon cards. They're businessmen. And now Rudy is famous for selling product under market. He sells all his products under market. In fact, you can watch his channel, and if you're a patron, then he sells every month all the Pokemon releases. He'll bundle products, and everything will be, 10, 20% under market. And Alex does rip and ships. That's Nostalgianomics. And so he's providing and adding a service that you're paying for, and it's completely optional. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. So, it's interesting that she's showing us that she has this FOMO because she wishes that she was smart enough to do the things that these other people are doing and that they've been doing for years, well before this Pokemon craze. They've been doing it for many, many years. So they were doing it when the times were tough, and now the times are good, and now she's got a problem with that. So let's get into her third attack on Rudy.
Is actually not being hoarded by armies of Rudys in piles of warehouses and houses and buildings and basements and offices. I just don't think that's the case. Everyone thinks everyone's just buying Pokemon, and everyone's keeping everything sealed. Everything's manipulated. There's all this tinfoil hat shit. And I think the truth is so far from that, it's almost silly.
This is probably the most ridiculous take in my opinion, because we literally have countless evidence on social media that mass hoarding of modern sealed Pokemon products is absolutely occurring. I mean, here's just a few photos of people's homes. Again, this is just a few people. There are hundreds of thousands of people doing this right now. There are thousands and thousands of other collections that look just like this, with most of the same exact products. There's no tin hat shit happening here. This isn't a big conspiracy made up by, collectors. It's literally documented to be happening all over the internet.
Okay, so this final point, again, easily debunked. I think there's a lot of evidence out there, not anecdotal evidence like the evidence she's showing about a few people's pictures of their collections on YouTube. I mean, I've got my collection here, but as I mentioned, this is nothing. This is a $10 billion a year company. 10 billion, she said, with emphasis. Do you think this collection I have here scratches the surface? Do you think any of the collections, even all of those combined that she showed in this video, scratches the surface of anything that Pokemon creates or the amount of product that's out there? Nothing. It does not. And you know what? We've got all these rip and shippers right now that are opening so much product that it's really hard to think that there's more sealed product hiding out there. It just doesn't make sense. But we can look at actual data and try and find out. Boxes are being opened up. Cards are being pulled and sent for grading. That means a lot of packs are being opened. Obviously, you're not going to get any big hits out of just one pack. So you have to open a lot of packs to get the big hits. So the more cards that get sent to PSA, logic would indicate that means more packs were opened. So more packs opened means less sealed product. So population reports is a pretty decent indication of, how much product was actually opened. So let's, combine with hit rate and all that kind of stuff. But let's take a quick peek at population reports. So let's look at, Twilight Masquerade in 2024. This was a somewhat popular set, but this was before the crazy madness of what we're experiencing now. I guess Rip and Ship started to get popular around this time, but they have 166,000 cards that were graded in Twilight Masquerade. Journey Together, okay, this is well inside the craze and not a super popular set. This had 214,000 cards. Also, the newer we get, the less time that PSA has to actually grade the cards. So you'd assume that the newer the set, the less the population report is. No, Journey Together, it's there. Let's look at Sword and Shield Chilling Reign. This is 2021, okay? This is 2021. They only had 110,000 population report in 2021. Well before Rip and Shippers, well before this Pokemon craze, and it's about half. And they've already had 5 years to send cards into PSA. So this is about half or a third of what they're currently doing population reports for. And if we looked at the printing numbers, they were about the same from 2021 in 2022 to 2026. they were printing 10 billion cards. So less were opened. So Chilling Reign probably has more sealed product out there than the current Scarlet and Violet. Look at 2023, Obsidian Flame. Only 238,000. And this wasn't a very popular set. This wasn't a very popular set, and also not really in the prime and the heat of the rip and ship. This is before the craze really hit. 238,000 population report. Let's go back to like early 2015. This is before they were printing a large quantity of cards, only 28,000. That's why Roaring Skies is worth what we said was $1,500, or $4,500 for Roaring Skies, because there's not a lot of product. That we didn't print a lot of the product, but they also didn't open a ton of the product. So if this is the population report for Roaring Skies, what's that going to mean for Scarlet and Violet sets and Mega Evolution sets? Even the Sun and Moon, the one we looked at, the Ultra Prism, 30,000. So let's look at population reports for something new like Mega Evolutions. Look at this. This is not even a year old. Okay, this is Mega Evolutions came out, I think, mid 2025 or late 2025. 300,000 cards have been graded for Mega Evolutions. Destined Rivals, just before Mega Evolutions, 337,000 have been graded. Does this look like, this is interesting. So Sword and Shield Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies was a very heavily printed set and reprinted, and will probably the most popular set in the Sword and Shield era, well before Rip and Shippers and well before any of this craziness. But when Rip and Shipping became very popular, I'd say Evolving Skies was one of the most opened sets for at least a year when Rip and Ship started, because it was the most popular set from the previous era. Therefore, this had 335,000 submissions into PSA, which is crazy. Okay, that's a crazy number, but it was affected by Rip and Shippers because it was very popular on Rip and Ships. And then Surging Sparks is my final example. Very popular set. This was the beginning of the craziness of Pokemon, and this was definitely the beginning of Rip and Ship madness. Almost 300,000 that was ripped. So you look at the numbers, it doesn't support her theory at all. It does not support it. Packs are being ripped like never before. Sealed product is not being hoarded. The people like me and other people that collect sealed product and have YouTube channels, we're few and far between. We're just loud. We're passionate about the hobby. We're passionate about the products. We're passionate about Pokemon. And so we have YouTube channels and we like to show off our collections. That's all it is. So yeah, she has anecdotal pictures of people showing off their collections. They're few and far between. And the people that are buying pallets like Rudy, there's probably a handful, maybe 10 in the world that do that. And he's buying like multiple pallets. He's got warehouses full of Pokemon cards. So it's a completely different situation. And she's just absolutely wrong about that. I don't know why she gets on my nerves so much, but she does. But at the end of the day, what you guys have to remember is that Pokemon is going to keep doing what Pokemon does. And if you want to enjoy this hobby, then you do it however it makes you happy. There's people out there that are going to tell you all kinds of different things. Me, Kira, Rudy, Nostalgianomics, or a bunch of other people. But at the end of the day, if you enjoy Pokemon, you go out there, you get the product however you can, and you open packs and you enjoy it. And if I want to keep this product here for 5 years or 10 years or 3 years or 2 years or whatever, then that's my prerogative. Scalpers are a different story. I've done multiple videos on that and I'm not into that, but nobody that we're talking about here is a scalper. This is Pokemon investing. This is Pokemon economics. This is the state of Pokemon, and that's where we're at. So thanks for watching this one, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.